Alright, so we came out to work on the siding, but it's super windy outside, so we're hiding out inside. We're going to work on the doors, the two exterior doors. I was able to pick both these up. I have two more like it, but picked these two up at Habitat for Humanity for 50 bucks each. They're brand new doors. We just got to paint them and build jambs for them. So I went to Home Depot and picked up these door jambs. Kind of build your own. They've got the grooves for the weather seal to go into, and they're already primed. We just got to get them painted. Same with the doors. We're going to get these painted up. We're going to go with the yellow color. So we'll get those painted up and then let them dry, and then probably next day we'll make the door jambs. So these door jamb pieces come extra long. I think they're a little over 8 feet. So we got to cut it down to the right size. All right, so we just got the side of the jamb cut to size. We're just going over to the top, and we're offsetting it 1/8 of an inch for the 1/8 inch gap at the top of the door. And then we're going to go down. We can see where the hinges are on the door, and we're just going to mark that on the jamb so we know where to route her out for the hinges. So we just made a mark at 1/8 to line up with the end of the door so that we know it doesn't move. And then we went along and just marked both sides where the hinges are all the way along the board. Okay, so I've got the hinge in place on the door. When this is all finished, this is the inside of the door. It's going to be flush with the inside of the door jamb. You can see there's that gap there for the weather stripping to go. So I've got the hinge inside that groove there, and then I'm just going to mark underneath so that when I can pull this hinge off, I have a mark and I can line that up on the door jamb. So I've got all the marks that I made for where the hinges are, and then I just drew the line on the hinge itself. So what I'm going to do is just line it up in between those two marks and line up my line there, and then I can trace out this hinge, and then I know where to route her out. So I'm just bringing it back over, verifying that I'm all good. Got my 1/8 inch gap, and all the lines are matching up. So, all right, so this is our little test piece. This isn't actually the piece we're going to use. We were just testing it out to see how our little jig worked. We ended up making a jig. We had a few attempts, as you can see, but this one in the middle is what we used. The reason we had to make this was I couldn't get this little lip here was stopping the router from going on. I was just going to do it by eye and cut it out, but this piece will fit up here so that it's all smooth. The other thing is the bit we were using. You can see it's got the bearing on the end there, so that just rides along our jig. So the way we made our jig was we measured the edge of our bit to the edge of this little flat surface here, and that's 1 3/4 inches. So we measured from where we needed to be over 1 3/4 inches. Same thing on this side, and then same thing back. And then we put blocks on both sides in the back with clamps, and then I was able to just ride along and cut this piece out of the 1/2 inch. Once we got that piece cut out, I measured this width here, and then we ripped it down to that width so that when it fits on, it's flush there and just butts right in, and then that puts us where we need to be for our hinges. So now when I go to route her out, you can see that bearing just rides along there, and it's all smooth on the same plane so it doesn't get caught up. The holes that were pre-drilled in the door, it's a different style than the hinges we got. This tool that it's a drill bit with a spring-loaded piece on it that helps it stay centered, so you can keep your you can pre-drill your screws. Alright, so we just got one door installed. We're about to start making the other one. We've got everything pretty much cut. We're just getting ready to use this jig and router out for the hinges. And then we need to mark the other side for the little latch. So same as last time, marked where the hinges are all the way along. Lined up my 2 marks and then just clamped it on. That bottom of the router there, you can see there's that bearing. That bearing just rides along this 1/2 inch plywood, and then we set the depth to where it'll go down and make enough room for the hinge to go in. Alright, just like we did on the other side with the hinges, we're marking here for the deadbolt. Just doing the 1/8 inch gap up there, and then marking where it is, and then we made a jig for that as well. So this will work just like the hinges, it goes in, and then the same here. I'll just kind of plunge cut this one and go around. Alright, so we're just getting these hinges screwed in. You can see we used our little tool here to pre-drill the centered holes, and then we're just putting them in. We messed up on the last door. All those hinges are upside down, but you just got to make sure this side is facing up. Alright, skipping ahead a little bit. We just got this door installed today. I did forget to film it, but we got it all assembled, got the top on, and then put it in. Every hinge we filled in with plywood and shims to get it all nice and plumb and swinging open correctly. We also had it to where it's flush here, so when our trim goes on there, it's all nice and flat. You can see only this little piece right here of the weather stripping. That was just so we could set the door or the latch where we wanted it. They don't sell the weather stripping for the 8-foot doors, so I'm gonna have to order that online, but that'll get sent out soon, as well as the weather stripping for the bottom. I also couldn't get that at the store, so I'm gonna have to order that. So here's the east side door, same thing. We got it shimmed up and all plumb. We also added on these keypads, so you can type in the code and it'll unlock. And then all these are the same brand. It's all quick set. So both the deadbolt and the handle for both sides, we were able to reset them to where they're all the same key. So you can see these full panes glass. We'll have 2 more of the same for the interior glass, separating the wing wall rooms from the greenhouse, and they'll all be in a line like this. So when they're all in, you'll be able to see all the way through the building. So moving on inside, you can see sort of all where we connected. We reinforced where the latch and the deadbolt are. We also cut off all our shims and plywood flush with the framing, so that when we go to sheet, it's nice and flush with the outside here, so we can put our trim on. We didn't paint the interior of the door. I'm not sure what color we're going to be doing in here yet, so we just did the exterior just so we could get it hung. It's nice to finally have some doors instead of just plywood. The light you're seeing through the gap between the jamb and the framing, that'll all get spray foamed, so it'll all be sealed and weather tight. You can also see sort of a gap between the door and the jamb itself. Like I said, I had that weather stripping just behind the latch and the deadbolt just so we could set it, but I'll have to fill in the rest of it, and then that'll be nice and sealed as well.